There you go. All righty. Welcome and good evening. I hope everyone's warm or, comfortable at least. Tonight we're going to be covering the Cluster 1 question and answers. So we're just going over a overview of what Cluster 1 has installed for you. So I am your trainer, Joon Elowsky. So I've been with HBA back in 2017, and then I did resign out of the vet sector just before this qualification was released. I didn't really like it, but I'm back, and I too had to do the gap training from the old 16 to the 22, and so there is a lot of changes made to the qualification. So we're going to go through the whole Cluster 1. As you can see, I have been training for a while in TAE and work health safety with HBA. So Cluster 1. So what we're going to be covering tonight are units of competencies covered in the Cluster 1, the evidence required for Cluster 1, the structure and flow of Cluster 1, the task overview of Cluster 1, and understanding our resources that we have available, the support channels we have, and also questions. So we're going to have a general chit chat afterwards. Okay, Cluster 1 units of competencies. So in Cluster 1, we have TAE DES 411, which is use nationally recognized training products to meet vocational training needs. We have TAE DES, design and develop plans for vocational training. We have TAE LLN 421, which is integrate core skill support into training and assessment. This is a elective unit of competency. We will go into more detail about where these units of competencies sit within very shortly. In our Cluster 1, we also cover TAE LLN 423, which is integrate employability skills, support into training and assessment. Has anyone heard or has anyone read the criteria for this unit of competency yet? DES 411. No? Okay, so this will be a good introduction. Use nationally recognized training products to meet vocational needs. So this unit of competency, the individual must demonstrate the ability to complete the task outlined in the elements, performance criteria, and foundation skills of the unit, including evidence of the ability to use nationally recognized training products to meet the training needs of vocational learners as follows. 1. Select and use at least one selected nationally recognized unit of competency or skill that addresses the identified skills, knowledge, needs of at least one learner cohort. Before we go any further, has anyone understood what units of competencies are at all? Yeah. Does anyone want to answer what a unit of competency is? Or explain it in your... Kate, good evening. I just saw you. Hey, how you doing? Sorry. A unit of competency. Any ideas?
Well, it's a particular skills you look for when you're actually doing some work. So, and to make, you have to have it listed down to see what criteria, I suppose, and how people are competent against those particular criteria. So understanding what a competency is
Yeah.
and the units associated with that as part of your assessments.
Absolutely. So a unit of competency is like a subject, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the unit of competency is clarifying the performance evidence, knowledge evidence, and the skills needing to be understood to be able to say if someone is able to do that sort of task. So in regards to select and use at least one selected nationally recognized unit of competency, That's exactly what is required to be done. And we're needing to understand a learner cohort. The word learner cohort, is there anyone not familiar with learner cohort at all? So a learner cohort is a group of learners. So if I said to you, I have a group of learners that are needing to undertake how to brush your teeth, right? So a simple task. So if we had that task given to us, what we would need to do is have a look through training.gov.au, find a unit of competency about brushing your teeth. Probably not there, but if it was, this is my make-believe dream, because we are living in a dream at the moment, okay? So we can follow this sort of train of thought. So brushing our teeth. The learner cohort, I'm going to let you know, is high schoolers. A group of high schoolers. So if we were going to be teaching a group of high schoolers how to brush their teeth, do you think they're already familiar with the content? Let's hope so, right? Yeah. So therefore, when we're putting together a learning program for that nationally recognized unit of competency, we're going to understand that they're already familiar, hopefully, with the content, yeah? If I was to say we're going to be training this unit of competency to people with English as second language, do you think it would be written a little bit different to what we would write for a group of high school students in Australia? Yeah? So that's what we're trying to get at here when the unit of competency is stating at least one learner cohort. So we need to understand who the learner cohort would be that we're writing the learning program for. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes when you're reading a unit of competency, especially the performance criteria, and if it's not clear, we need to understand those key words. Yeah. So in this unit of competency, 1 second, sorry. Sorry about that. There was some noise out my door. All right. Identify and use at least one setup of support materials relating to the above unit or skill set. Do we understand those keywords? Please let me know if there's anything that you're unfamiliar with. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume we understand, okay? I'm more than happy to have a chat, and I'll give you a good story about any content just to simplify the meaning. All right. So select at least one nationally recognized qualification that is at the appropriate Australian qualification framework level and package it to meet the identified needs of a different learner cohort. Are there any questions for that one? Has anyone looked at a qualification and not understood where the units of competencies come from or where we choose them from?
Yeah, it's been so long since I've done it. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, this is where it all comes into play, right? So in regards to finding a qualification, we would go onto this website called training.gov.au. Yep. Find an industry that we're familiar with. So if I was doing this, I would look at TAE, training package. And then in that training package, I'm going to be able to find some qualifications. Yeah, it will list qualifications that are found within that industry. Yeah. In that qualification, I would open up a qualification at the right AQF. Does anyone understand what this Australian qualification framework level means?
Yep.
Yes. We are familiar with that. So the Australian qualification framework is the like a Cert 1 is a level 1, Cert 2, level 2. We get the gist? Yep. Awesome. Okay, so in regards to this unit of competency, they're asking us to select one qualification. Yeah, and that is at the appropriate AQF level, and package it to meet the identified needs of a different learner cohort. So in a Cert 4 TAE that you have enrolled in, there are 12 units of competencies, 6 core and 6 electives. Do we understand core and electives? Yeah? So when somebody says they have a qualification of whatever sort it may be, Then what we needing to understand is what units of competencies have they completed to give them this qualification. So if I did a lot of the elective units for designing and developing assessment tools, then I probably do not have the right skills and knowledge to be able to facilitate one-on-one training sessions because I did not choose that unit of competency for working with small groups. Does that make sense? So that's what we're talking about in regards to this unit of competency. So selecting units of competencies to make up that training package qualification. So far, so good?
Yep.
Yeah. Philip, let me know when something comes up that brings back a good memory, okay? That would be great. In the course of the above, the candidate must use the National Register of VET, which is training.gov.au. So, Philip, I think back in the day you would have looked at NTIS, right? To have a look at units of competencies. Yes, that rings a bell. Yeah, so now we have this thing called training.gov.au. Number 2 is analyze the contents of the nationally recognized products to confirm their suitability for use. Do we understand that at all? Yeah. Yep. Okay, good. Number 3 is comply with the specified nationally recognized training product requirements, including entry requirements, packaging rules, and other prerequisite requirements. Has anyone heard of these prerequisite requirements before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So does that mean basically people have to have a certain skill base? If you're going to do a Cert 4, they need to have adequate literacy and numeracy skills to actually do the Cert 4. You have to add a lot, make sure you can get to that level. So
that could be that could be a prerequisite for sure. Sometimes units of competencies have prerequisite units to be achieved. So we understand if I want to do a Cert 3 in, I'm going to throw it out there, a bit crazy, construction, right? If I'm going to, I would not trust myself on a construction site. No. So if I'm going to go work on a construction site, I'm going to do a Cert 3 in construction, right? What do you think is the first unit of competency that I should have as a prerequisite before using power tools on a construction
Occupational
site?
health and safety.
Yeah, that's right.
Safety with electricity.
Yeah. So I would have to hold this thing called a white card. Has everyone heard of a white card before?
Yeah.
So to achieve this white card thing, I would need to do a unit of competency that gives me that white card. Okay, so there's a unit of competency that you need to complete to obtain that white card. Yeah, we've heard of that.
Yep, I've got one.
So far, so good. You got one.
Yeah.
I used to train it back in 2005, believe it or not. That was when it was called a blue card here in Queensland.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Now it's called a white card. All right.
Jo,
So,
what's
yes.
packaging? I haven't heard. I'm not sure packaging rules. What's that actually mean?
Packaging rules. Yeah. So that's when we have a look at a qualification. So when you have a look at training.gov.au and you'll look up an industry, right? So again, I'm going to refer to TAE industry, right? TAE is the training package. In regards to get to the qualification, I go into the TAE and then I would go to the first qualification, which is TAE40122, which is the qualification you're enrolled to do. Inside there, the qualification is going to give me a descriptor. So it's going to explain what the qualification is for and who should be doing the course. And then it's going to go through and explain the packaging rules. The packaging rules is going to tell you how many core units are required to be completed, how many elective units are going to be required to be completed. In some cases, some qualifications, they'll have specialized areas that you can, if you complete these units of competencies, you'll specialize in a certain field within that qualification level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to specialize in a certain field, I would need to make sure I read those packaging rules. And those packaging rules will tell you which elective units of competencies you should choose from. So the elective units of competencies in some qualifications, not all, they'll have group A, group B, group C, group D. Yeah. So then you would have to choose as per the packaging rules. If the packaging rules states 3 units from group A must be selected, 2 electives must be chosen from group, I don't know, C or D, right? And so when you're packaging a qualification together, we're needing to make sure we read those packaging rules very clearly, understand what core units are required and what elective units of competencies you may choose. So when you're listing a qualification, you would list the qualification code and title and the release as well. Also, you would list the core units and the elective units that best suit your cohort. Remember how we were talking about brushing our teeth, looking at an English as a second language group of learner cohort and high school. Jason, this may sound a bit crazy, and I do apologize. I'll explain later. And high school people, right? So with the high school, if this brushing the teeth was a qualification, then the cohort, would need to be a little bit higher than the English as a second language. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. In regards to the next unit of competency within this cluster, we have design and develop plans for vocational training. The individuals must demonstrate the ability to complete the task outlined in the elements, performance criteria, and foundation skills of this unit, including evidence of the ability to design, develop, and document plans for group learning that 1. Covers at least 2 entire units of competencies from nationally recognized training package or accredited course. Do we understand the information so far? Terminology is okay? Yep. Wonderful. Yep. Detail at least 3 consecutive sessions for each different unit of competency. So we understand a unit of competency is not very short, is it? It's not a one-liner, is it? A unit of competency is going to have quite a few elements and performance criteria, right? So is anyone familiar with a unit of competency? Have you read through a unit yet? Philip, this is going to be mind-blowing, right? We have elements, we have performance criteria. The element is pretty much the task. The performance criteria breaks down that element, breaks down that task. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
All of this sounds familiar, Philip? It's good. Then the nodding is great. Okay, elements, performance criteria. After that, we have something called foundation skills. Foundation skills is the information that's going to tell us what core skills are being covered within that unit of competency. We're going to go into more detail very shortly, but we need to understand core skills and also employability skills. There's so much information, right? All of this information will be covered within this cluster 1. Yeah. So a unit of competency also has assessment requirements, which is performance evidence and knowledge evidence. Okay, so when we're talking about detail at least 3 consecutive sessions from the units of competency, we're getting the information to be put into these sessions from the unit of competency. Yeah, makes sense so far? Number 3, tailored to target learner group, characteristics and identified learner needs, including foundation skills. Include a range of facilitation techniques and checks for learner understandings, including presentation methods, learning activities, and formative assessment activities. Would you like me to break this information down a bit? It's a bit wordy, isn't it? Okay, so what this criteria is trying to state is that in the range of facilitation techniques within those sessions, we're needing to make sure that there's some form of checking the learner's understanding. So in a training session, how can we have evidence that we are checking for learners' understanding? How do we do that?
Ask questions. group discussion.
Demonstration.
Yeah.
Demonstration, absolutely. So within a session, give examples. Yeah, for sure. So in a session plan, we need to make sure we state this information there, so then we understand whereabouts we're going to be doing this within that session. So in the session, we explain the information that will be presented, and then we need to explain what is the method of how we're checking in with our learners. So far, so good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And so in regards to checking with our learners, sometimes we do learning activities, right? Just like what you were saying. I cannot remember who stated it, but demonstrations, ask questions, all that sort of thing. Yeah, and which can be found as a formative assessment, just little activities. In the course of the above, the individual must document an overall plan for the group learning for each unit of competency. Document the following in the session plans: learning objectives and outcomes, presentation methods, learning activities, formative assessment activities, sequence and timing of activities within a session, required resources, total duration of sessions. Do we understand that so far?
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Confirm that requirements of the unit of competency and their assessment requirements have been fully addressed in the overall plan. All good?
Yep.
Okay, another unit of competency. This is exciting, right? Yep, that's better. Smiles are great. Okay, so integrate core skills support into training and assessment. The individual must demonstrate the ability to complete the task outlined in the element, performance criteria, and foundation skills of this unit, including the evidence of the ability to. Sorry if I'm reading too fast. Integrate core skills support into vocational training assessment during at least 2 training sessions, at least 2 assessment events. Do we need to clarify this information? So in regards, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, the 2 assessment events would be us assessing our students, how they'd performed, or would it be you assessing us? Yeah.
No. Okay, so remember there's 2 learning programs to develop, right? In that in one of the learning programs, or in both of the learning programs, we're going to give an overview of what's happening, how we're covering that unit of competency in all of those different sessions, right? In all of those different sessions to cover the entire unit of competency, we're needing to make sure we cover the assessment requirements of that unit. So in one of the sessions of the learning program, you may have a session in there that you may be assessing the knowledge evidence or performance evidence in one of those sessions. Yeah. In some units of competencies, it's useful to assess throughout the unit of competency, throughout the sessions. In some units of competencies, it's more likely that you'll be assessing at the end of the session, at the end of the learning program in, last few sessions or so forth. Again, depending on the industry and the unit of competency requirements of how you would address that.
So, Jo, if I can just ask, you'll say, like, developing like the training sessions and assessment events. So we're developing all of this to then do at the very end of that course. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're not having to actually complete actual assessments within your delivery at all, because when you get to the cluster 3, the assessment tools that we use in regards to assessing competence have already been developed. You're going to use already developed assessment tools, and this is going to be exciting. In another 6 weeks, we're going to cover this in question and answers webinar, so please join me. We're going to be covering the information. So the assessment part is in regards to your learning program. You'll just document when it would happen in regards to that learning program. I'm going to run through an example. So if I was to facilitate that unit of competency, if there is one, of brushing our teeth, I'm going to be, in my first session, I'm going to give an overview of what's happening. I'll give a welcome and introduction to the overall view of the learning of the learning program. Sorry, in my second session, I'm going to start talking about the first element. The first element is about preparing the toothbrush, okay? So I'm going to cover that in my first session. In my second session, I'm going to talk about how to brush the teeth. Do you start on the inside or do you start on the outside? Who knows? So my my learning program will explain to you how to brush your teeth. In the fourth session, I'm going to talk about how to rinse your mouth. Yeah, mouthwash. Very exciting stuff, my learning program. And my fifth session, I'm going to talk about flossing the teeth because I messed up. I forgot I should have flossed first, right? But anyway, we're doing that in our fifth session now. Okay, so we're going to talk about flossing our teeth and then the overall rinsing again of the mouth. How's that? Pretty good, right? So that's my tops. Now I'm going to do the whole assessing in my seventh session. Seventh session is the whole knowledge evidence, where I'm going to do written questions. They're going to have to write down the process of how they brush their teeth, and I'm going to do another observation. So during the lessons, I was doing formative assessments when we're just going through the process. In the seventh or eighth session, whatever it may be, I'm going to do an observation assessment. Yeah, so looking at a learning program, that's pretty much the process of how I would do it. Yeah, if we want to think forward in regards to our our sessions that we're going to be facilitating, I'm just going to go through the introduction, the I don't know, maybe the preparing the toothbrush and flossing our teeth. I'm full of excitement in my sessions, right? So that's what I'm doing. You like that? Magic.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
All good. So at least 2 sessions. So this is where I'm going to be able to make sure I am integrating core skill support. So we're going to be working together. I might do teaming them up into pairs. Yep. And focusing on whatever core skill that they're needing to focus on. Okay. In regards to in the case of the above, the individual must identify core skill demands of nationally recognized training products, workplace task and text, learning task and text, and assessment task and text. Identify those learners and candidates in need of core skill support. Customize at least one learning resource. What do you think customizing learning resources means?
Well, if you're looking at it, adjusting, if you're looking for people from a different language from English base, you might use some of their language and maybe define, like the toothbrush, what it means in their language, something like that.
Could do. Absolutely. What's another form of customizing resources, do you think?
Breaking down the information, maybe using more pictures instead of big bulk text.
Absolutely.
If people had like vision impairment, you might want to enlarge, have larger fonts or,
Absolutely.
Can you do a task breakdown?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like step 2, step 3,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everyone needs different customizations, don't they, for their learner cohort? Again, remembering who you're training and how you'd best facilitate that content. All good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions in regards to this content so far? All good? Refer at least 2 learners or candidates with core skill support needs beyond scope of own role for support according to organizational procedures. Do we need to clarify this information?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. So refer at least 2 learners. So in our cohort, we're going to identify 4 learners, okay, for our learner cohort, and we're going to find candidates with core skill support. So what is the core skills? Has anyone read about core skills? There's 5. If you've read them, please feel free to share. Kate, you have this down pat. Come on.
Is it the learning, reading, writing, oral comms, numeracy, and digital literacy?
Awesome. Well done. Absolutely. Digital literacy hasn't really made the mark yet, but it's on its way, right? Still in draft. but it's making its way, crawling itself in. Absolutely. Well done. Good work, Jess. So refer to at least 2 learners. So when we are identifying our 4 learners, we're going to go through and identify their core levels, core skill levels. Yeah. Where their learning, reading, writing, oral communication, numeracy is sitting at. There's 5 levels. So when we go through that process, we're going to identify 2 learners that may have a level lower than what the unit of competency is aimed at. Yeah. So if a learner has more than 1 level lower than what the requirements are, sometimes we are not able to adapt or customize our resources to the level that the learner is at. So we may need to have extra support. Yeah, that is beyond our means. So what is an example in some educational fields? Has anyone heard of anything? Reading, writing hotline. Amanda smashing it. So reading, writing hotline. Does anyone remember the jingle?
Come on, Amanda, you know it.
Anybody remember the jingle? Come on, reading, writing hotline. They had a great jingle, very catchy.
1300650506.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So they had a great jingle for everyone to remember. So sometimes when we are facilitating learning and their core needs are greater than what we can cater for, we might give them some information regarding a organization that will be able to assist. So if I had a learner in the classroom that had dyslexia, what is an organization that could help us out? Any ideas?
Is there an association? Is there an association?
Absolutely. Amanda says SPELD, is it? Spelled? Yeah. And what do they do?
They're another association that I found, but I'm not even sure. Actually, I'm glad you're talking about external support resources, because sometimes when you look them up, it's really hard I found it really difficult in this cluster 1 to know like what external services are really appropriate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you've really got to understand the learner, don't you, first of all? And then we need to reach out. Absolutely. Okay. And there's a lot of organizations out there. Once you start doing your lovely research, Googling away, it's quite interesting what responses we receive, in your workbooks, that places that we wouldn't really have thought of, when,
and some of them, they're all paid services. So I wasn't sure, does it matter whether they're a free service, paid service? It doesn't matter. It's just,
it doesn't matter.
That's an option for us to use because they provide support services. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. Did that help clarify referring at least 2 learners? Yeah. Awesome. Another unit of competency, TAE40122, integrate employability skills. Has anyone heard of those words before? Employability skills. Yes. If not, you've got great reading to come to, right? It's going to be amazing, mind-blowing yet again. So, employability skills support into training and assessment. The individual must demonstrate the ability to complete the tasks outlined in the elements, performance criteria, and foundation skills of this unit, including evidence of the ability to integrate employability skills into vocational training and assessment during at least 2 sessions, at least 2 assessment events. So if I had a learner with an employability skills that they're needing to grow in regards to team building, teamwork, working in a team, what could I do to support this learner, do you think, in regards to the training sessions?
Some private training?
Some private training, yep. If they're needing some support for teamwork.
You could find someone who's a mentor.
Yeah, we can
to actually
provide-
work alongside them.
Work with them, yeah. Lauren, what would you do in regards to teamwork, do you think, when in training session? Sorry.
Set
I
them
can
up with
see
their
you
own
there.
little team, perhaps.
That's all right.
I-
Including as many real life situations as you can.
Yeah, for sure. And so
you could do a training. Sorry, you could do a teamwork session, like
yeah,
set something up so that they have to work as a team to actually achieve something.
and to build their self-esteem up, maybe we can start working in pairs, and then increasing it to 3 people. What do you think? Would that be supportive and helping with teamwork? And what about digital literacy? If someone was having trouble with using digital technology, what do you think you could do?
Get them to help me if they know more than me.
Yeah, find a 3-year-old. I'm joking. So digital technology. Yeah, it is, isn't it? They're so clever. So if someone was having trouble with using digital technology, what do you do in your workplace at the moment? There's always someone struggling with IT, right? Or how to use a control sometimes. So what is something that you could do?
You could probably refer them on to doing some type of support and doing basic computers, like so that they can get more help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Paul, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I work in a company with IT company. So what we do is basically job shadowing. We put them with someone who actually knows the work properly, and they just job shadow.
For sure.
And they learn very fast that way.
They do. Absolutely, because they can see someone doing it, right? Have you heard the process of what is it? I do it slow. I do it normal. I do it slow. You do it with me. Then off you go. Have you all heard that before? No?
No.
It's pretty much what we do automatically without even thinking about it. So when you're training somebody to do something, or when you're showing somebody to do something, you do the task at the speed required, and then you slow it down and explain the process to them, right? And then you do the task with them, and then you sit back and watch them do it. Yeah, it's a natural process that we do without even thinking. Interesting, huh? All right. So in the course of the above, the individual must identify employability skill demands of nationally recognized training products, workplace tasks, learning tasks, and assessment tasks. So what do you think this is meaning? Okay, I'm just going to explain to you. Identify the employability skill demands. So when you're reading through the criteria of a unit of competency, is some noise coming through somewhere? All good? Okay. Identify the employability skills of nationally recognized training products. So we're needing to read through the criteria and understand what is the employability skill demand for that particular criteria. So at the end of the game of reading through the unit of competency, we understand what employability skills are required. Yeah. Just like the core skills, when you read through criteria, you can identify. I'm sorry about that. Lovely family. It never stops, right, when you're working from home. Sorry about that. Okay. So when we're reading through the unit of competency, you can identify what training products, workplace tasks. Sometimes in a workplace task, there's quite a few employability skills. You'll find a lot. May need some contextualization to suit the needs of your workplace. Identify those learners and candidates in need of employability skill support. Refer at least one learner or candidate with employability skill gap beyond scope of your own role support according to organizational procedures. So once you start reading through your learner guide, or when you start doing your research in regards to employability skills, you'll see that there's 8 particular key employability skills that we focus in. And in regards to that, then we need to identify what can we offer, or where can we offer the learner to gain that extra support that is beyond our scope. So Kate and Lauren, they are specialists in in the LLN. Is that right? You completed your other certificate?
Yes, we're still going, but the 801,
You're
802
still
have
going?
been done.
Woohoo! Well done, congrats.
Mm.
Jason Nolan is our guru of guru for LLN and support. So if there was anything out of my scope of, or my understanding, I would ask Jason for advice. And if it's out of our scope within HBA, then we'd probably offer external, some in again, depending on the field that they're in, the industry that they're working within. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Are we comfortable with what we've gone through so far? Yeah, those units of competencies are very chunky now, aren't they, Philip? Changes that have come. Yeah, amazing. All righty. So in regards to our cluster 1, we have task 1.1, which is plan foundation skills support, design and develop plans to integrate core employability skills in 2 training sessions and 2 assessment events. Yeah. Oops. Oh, wait. Task 1.2, Learning Program 1. Design and develop one learning program addressing an entire unit of competency from a current qualification. So we went through and understood where we find qualifications, right? So on training.gov.au, we find our industry that we're familiar with. Yeah. And once we find our industry that we're familiar with, then we can go through and find a qualification that would best suit a cohort of learners that you're familiar with, that we can go through and understand what qualification we would be looking at. In regards to these tasks that we're going to be talking about in our cluster 1, it is ideal that we don't aim too high. Okay, so if we look at a diploma level, the requirements are going to be massive. Amanda, we've gone through this pain before, right? And then, if you aim too high, it's going to be very tricky. It will take a long time. So if we try to aim at, I don't know, again, depending on your industry that you're looking at, try not to go too high. Usually a 2 or a 3 is good, but if you're needing to go that more sophisticated, more complex, then enjoy it. It's going to be great fun. Okay, so when we go through finding a qualification that planning to integrate core skills into 2 training sessions, it is going to come back within the learning program 1, and task 1.3 is group learning sessions. So how does this all play? Okay, so when we have found our unit of competency and we've developed our learning program, what 1.3 is all about is that you're going to, from that learning program, okay, I'm going to refer back to my brushing the teeth learning program, okay, because then it's something that we can refer back to. Remember how I said to you in my first session, I would do a welcome and an overview of the learning program, right? Session 2 was about preparing the toothbrush. Yeah. Session 3 was about brushing our teeth, whereabouts we start, inside or outside of our teeth, how do we start brushing? In the 4th session, what was that about? Rinsing our mouth with mouthwash, right? And then 5th session was about flossing our teeth. Yep. 6th session. Yeah, we have so much fun with brushing our teeth, Jason. 6th session, he's just laughing at me. 6th session, what we're going to do, we're going to write a knowledge question. So we're going to write the process of how to brush your teeth correctly. In the 7th session, we're going to do another observation. So we're going to observe them brushing their teeth and flossing and everything else. And in the 8th session, I'll do a recap. You like my brushing the teeth program? It's pretty exciting. Anyone signing up? Yeah, it's going to be heaps of fun, right? 8 sessions. So from that learning program, what 1.3 is asking me to do is now develop and document 3 consecutive sessions. So from my 8 sessions, okay, those 8 sessions, the first session, I'm going to drag it right out to an hour and a half. No, it would be 30 minutes in intro, wouldn't it? Okay, the second part about preparing your toothbrush, that's going to go for about an hour because I'm going to go into detail about the different toothpaste we can use, the different toothbrushes we use, right? So there's a lot of information in this preparing toothbrush. It's not that easy, okay? Very exciting stuff. And so therefore, I think I can only cover my session 1 and session 2 in my 3 consecutive sessions, okay? So I'm starting with session 1. Yep, 30 minutes, an overview of my session. And as I said, session 2 was an hour and a half, right? So I'm just going to steal 2 parts of my session 2 and explain it into a session plan. Does that make sense? Because in my session plan, I'm going to go into a lot more detail to explain how to cover those 3 30-minute sessions. Does that make sense to you? So if your learning program has very chunky sessions in there, we can still break it into 3 sessions of 3 30-minute sessions. Amanda, did you have your hand up? Sorry, I'm rude.
Oh, no, it's all good, no problem. I just, because you're talking about timings, right? And I can't remember from the last webinar, I really struggled. I made a note to say within the learning, when we talk about nominal hours.
Yes.
So I've gone on and looked up my unit of competency, and for example, it's saying that the nominal hours for that unit of competency is 80 hours. Yeah. But I made a note to say that do the nominal hours at the end. So did I make that note because I don't have to make sure that the learning plan covers the full 80 hours? Like if I can achieve it in 70, then it becomes a 70-hour program as opposed to 80. Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
And then if that's the case, so then I've worked it out that I've been able to achieve 80, but now I'm stuck where I've got my 3. I get what you're saying about the 3 consecutive sessions.
Yeah.
But one of my parts, I feel like I can't make it an hour, but I can't remember how I do part A, part B for that 1 hour to do like 30-30, and instead of doing an hour, I do 30-30. Yeah. 30 minutes part A. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, sorry. Absolutely. That's what you do. You just put part A. Some people put part 1, part 2, part 3 of session 2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that make it easier?
Yeah, it does. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm on track. Okay.
Yeah, you're doing well.
All right. Thanks.
Big process, right?
Oh, yeah. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's so much fun. Actually, having a blast, and you're still smiling, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. Just get through the knowledge workbook, you'll be right. It all starts to make sense.
Starts making sense.
With the nominal hours, Joe, just maybe I'm going off the track a little bit. So if, like you said, it was 80 hours for that unit of competency, you're supposed to cover 8. So do you have to do the 80 hours, or can you pad it out and say they can do self-paced reading or do something else as well as part of it? So that's how you tick off your 80 hours. You mark it off. Also, we did group work. That's 40, 20 hours there, and you do. Is that how you kind of break it down, or?
Again, with nominal hours, if you are asking for government funding, we're going to make sure we cover those 80 hours, right? However, if we are not going for government funding, we are not needing to stretch things out to be that far, okay? Because when you are doing face-to-face training, that's very in-depth information that you're sharing with that learner, and they're going to be learning quite faster than what they would be doing learning alone. You agree? Yeah.
Because competency, like everyone develops skills at different rates. That's why.
That's right.
People might do it in 60 hours, and then you're just going to try and stretch it out to get to the 80 hours.
And again, this is why we need to understand who our learner cohort are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like what we were explaining about brushing teeth, right? So, yeah. Okay. All good. Any questions? Dean, thank you so much for looking after the chat thing because I cannot see it. I can just see things popping up every now and then. Thank you. All righty. Task 1.4, learning program 2.
Just before you go on, Kerry has a question for you.
Sorry, Kerry.
Oh, that's all right. When we're talking about our group, like you're saying, like high school students, we choose when we're creating this, we will just choose, we'll turn around and say, you know, school leavers or, you know, mature age people new into the industry or something like that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, correct.
Okay,
because with your learning program, it will be contextualized to suit a certain group of learners. And so if we're unsure of who you're contextualized it for, then it's a bit harder to understand. So that's why we ask you in regards to the template, it will say learner cohort characteristics, and that's where you explain it.
Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, all good. All good. Any other questions before we move on? Nope. Okay. So task 1.1, so this is where we're going to clarify the information about the foundation skills of a particular group of learners. Then 1.2 is when we're developing the learning program. 1.3, we grab 3 sessions out of that 1.2. So far, so good? Yep. Then along comes task 1.4. Yep. This is another unit of competency. However, we are needing you to base it on a BSB from the BSB training package, so 1, 2, or 3. In your resources, you have a TAS. Has anyone heard of a TAS? All of these funky words coming out, right? Acronym city. So we have something called a TAS, Training and Assessment Strategy, right? So a TAS is going to document the approach taken to deliver and assess an entire qualification or a course, right? So in regards to a cert 1, 2, or 3 in business, we understand what we're looking at, yes? Business units of competencies fall within every industry, yeah? And so that's why we've asked you to base it on a business unit. Task 1.5, group learning sessions. We're going to, again, do the similar thing that we did in task 1.3, yeah? So from that business learning program, business unit of competency that you've built a learning program for, we're going to develop 3 sessions from there. So if the learning program, a really fun unit of competency, I say fun because I like the unit. A lot of people whinge about it, but it's it's a Cert 2 unit, I believe. It's BSB WHS 201, I think. Is that the unit? It's work health and safety. I cannot remember what it's called now, but I think, that's the one I go to a lot of the time. So in regards to work health safety, because it's in everyone's industry. Yeah. And then I would just break that session into understanding how to do a risk assessment. Yeah, it's quite interesting, that unit of competency, actually. All right. Anywho, so that's what we're needing to do. In regards to your knowledge workbook, it's always waiting for you. Yeah. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not going to do itself, unfortunately. It's waiting for you. Okay. So knowledge question workbook is always there. So task 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Are there any questions for any of those tasks? No? So far, so good? Okay. So updated resources. Please check your resources. Amanda, you have a question?
Sorry, I was just checking if I could ask it, actually, because you said
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
There are 2 WHS risk control plans that we've got to do. So
yeah,
please forgive me. I'd like a little bit of clarification, because I'm okay with identify hazards and risk and so forth, but the ratings. So where it talks about inherent risk rating and residual risk rating, I really felt like I hit a wall. And I know you've got the matrix below, like I get that. but are you able to give some clarity as to what's being looked for there?
Absolutely.
So, for example, if the hazard was, I don't know, because, slips, trips and falls because of uneven surfaces, and then the risks of musculoskeletal injuries and bone breaks and things like that, then, I don't know, I was just giving you an example, then I've got nothing. I don't know what you're looking for risk rating and residual.
Okay. I will show it to you in just a second.
Sorry.
That's all right. I'm glad you're asking.
Yeah, and I've got one more dumb question.
No dumb question.
Oh, sorry.
A tricky question would be great if you can throw it. Yeah, what you got?
It says program title, right?
Yeah.
So, forgive me, but are we just titling this as per, I don't know, like the group of the 3 sessions? Do we give it an I don't know, just forgive me.
Okay. I'm just trying to open up Cluster 1 workbook as we speak. It's got the lovely blue circle going around. The computer's got to think a lot. It's coming eventually. All righty.
Do you want me to put anything in the chat? Do you want me to take a screenshot?
Oh, it doesn't want to let me open anything today.
What I've done for program title is I've used the unit of competency that I've used right through the whole.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably what I would suggest as well, is just use the title of the unit of competency. I think that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that.
That's okay. I'm still trying to open up one single document.
I was trying to be creative. I was thinking too hard on that one.
Oh, good. All right. No, it doesn't want to open it. Oh, there we go. Got it. Finally. Okay, so when you come to the risk rating. Okay, here you go. Oops. Oh dear. Okay, so risk rating. So this is what you're looking at? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to explain a hazard. Does everyone understand what a hazard is? Yeah, a hazard is a problem, right? If you can identify a problem, you can see what a hazard is. Okay, so I have a drink bottle on the floor in the classroom at the front near the whiteboard. Yeah, that's the hazard, yeah? So now this lovely drink bottle, we had a lovely carpenter in the room, and he has nailed that drink bottle into the ground, so we cannot lift it up. I know it happens, right? In my weird world, it's going to happen. So we cannot just pick this drink bottle up. So it's a hazard. So now we're going to come over to our lovely table and risk rate this thing. Okay. So we have a whiteboard in the classroom. Who would be writing on the whiteboard, do you think? The lovely trainer. Yeah?
Trainer, yeah. unless you've got a student up there to put something on.
Yeah. I was thinking learners as well for group.
Get the learners up there. Absolutely. So we have this issue, right? This lovely drink bottle we cannot lift. What is the likelihood of an incident happening? What's the risk of this drink bottle?
It's nailed. It can't really move.
So it's likely, almost certain.
Likely what will happen? What's going to happen?
Someone could trip.
Someone could trip, right? So that's a tripping hazard right there. Mm-hmm. And so you're saying it's likely?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so most certain.
It's low risk.
Okay, you think it's low risk, right? Okay, so you think it would be insignificant minor first aid treatment for this person if they trip over, do you think?
No.
You don't think so? No? Okay. So,
moderate.
Yeah, so you need to make your judgment call. So if we said it's 1 a.m., so it's almost certain, insignificant, and it would be an M, right? Moderate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's the risk at the moment. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to put some controls in place. I'm going to put a chair over it. So I'm isolating I'm putting a barricade over it, right? So you can actually see it and you have to walk around it now. So that's my control that I'm putting into place. So what is the residual risk now?
So we're talking about the rating before and after. Like before you do something about it, and then after
before,
sorry.
Yeah, that's what it's talking about.
Sorry.
No, all good. I'm glad we had a chat so we can all understand what we're looking at when we're doing a risk assessment. Yeah. So far, so good?
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, all good. Any questions before we move on? All good so far. Okay, so updated. Has everybody checked their resources to see that they have 1.1?
No.
Version 1.1. If you do not have version 1.1, if you haven't commenced it cluster 1 yet, feel free to email compliance and they will send you out the most up-to-date. Jason, when or who would have the earlier version 1.0? Is it prior to September, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Sorry, thanks, Jane. Yeah, prior to September. If you've signed up prior to September, that's when you would check. If you've signed up after September, you should have version 1.1. All good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions? Not yet?
No, I probably will have once I start getting into it.
Once you start getting into it, I'm just going to clarify what you have in your resources, okay? So when you signed up for this lovely Cert 4 TAE and you're doing the whole qualification, not just the gap, you would have received a cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, a knowledge workbook, another folder called print versions, reading, RTO policies, procedures, a read me first booklet that nobody seems to read because it doesn't say read me now. I think maybe we need to change it to read me now. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Has anyone seen this document before? Yep.
Yeah.
We also have, you have, that's good. Did anyone read it? You can be honest. Cameron, have you read it? Lauren, you read it? You did. Outstanding.
Sorry, what document was it?
It's called Read Me First.
Oh, yeah, I did read that actually.
Oh, you did? Awesome. Good work.
Yeah, which is surprising for me, but yeah, I did read it.
Awesome. Do we have some questions?
I'm trying to find a question. I'm going through my knowledge book at the moment.
Okay.
+1.
Fantastic. Dean, we have 2 hands up. We have 1 hand up.
We have Amanda and Vladimir.
Okay, please feel free to ask your question, Vladimir.
It's like the Read Me First book, right? It's like I've got only half of the document.
Oh.
I could not read the whole thing. Yeah.
You couldn't read the whole thing. No problem. We'll have it sent out to you again.
Okay.
Oh, good. Any other questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Philip.
Oh, I'm not writing it in the chat, but just with the like say 1.2 learning program, I'm still struggling with the mapping and the session times, but I think I'll just have to. Where do I find out exactly how long I'm giving for each session time?
You're going to make your own professional judgment on that one.
God damn it.
I know. I wish I had the answer. Here's some magical responses, okay? So
Well, yeah. I feel like I've just got to drag mine out so much, you know?
Yeah. What unit have you chosen, by the way?
It was a little while ago that I chose this, but communication with customers.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So again, depending on your learner cohort, right? So if your learner cohort are a little bit familiar with the content, then the session time would be shorter. If they're new to customer service, well, it may be a bit longer because you'd have to explain quite a lot and demonstrate quite a little bit more than what you would usually do. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can I jump in there, Joe? Or
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd probably say too, Gemma, just have a look at your nominal hours as well. I mean, that's going to give you a bit of an idea around sort of what's expected for that unit of competency.
I think it's still like 20.
Is it? So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to hit that 20-hour mark, right? So, you might, as a rough guide, if you're hitting half of that, say around 10 hours or above, I think that's justifiable. So, if you looked at that and said, okay, I need to hit about 10 hours, and you did that or just over that, I think that's fine.
Okay, cool. And then leave the rest as train me fast, train me slow. And
I mean, we can always justify, right? That, the learning cohort was able to get through that content because of certain characteristics that the group had, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Philip, did you have?
Yes. Sorry, I hadn't even noticed that all these documents have been sent to me. I'm just now downloading them. So.
Oh, good work, Philip. This is good.
Yeah.
Glad you came then tonight,
Very good,
Yeah, you get all the surprises.
Tonight has not been a waste of time.
No, not at all. Amanda.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to be all over the place now. So the session plan, as I'm doing my session plan, or as I was starting it and I just stopped, I'm doing my timing, and then when I go out and fill in all the boxes, let me give an example. So like the first 5 minutes might be introductions, outcomes, expectations, do a bit of a safety briefing, whatever the case may be. And then the resources at the end, for example, how detailed do I have to be? Because I haven't actually created the resources. So can I just put PowerPoint slide? I don't need to say what pages it's coming from or anything like that. Or
okay, so in one of my sessions, like if I had brushing teeth, I'm just going to refer to that because we're on that one now, right? In my first session, that's my overview, blah blah blah. So I'm going to have a PowerPoint. I'll have an attendance sheet. What else would I need for that section? Do you think I might need a handout?
Whiteboard maybe if I'm putting up contact details or laptop.
I would be really lazy. I would put a training room equipment.
Would you? Okay.
That's what I would do. I don't know if anyone else is comfortable with that. That's what I would expect. Otherwise, feel free to list away.
So we can generalize there. We don't need to be too specific with the resources.
Jason, Dean, do you have any issues with what I just said? Sorry, I should have checked. All good?
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then talking about session plans then, so when it talks about assessment methods, so in the learning program, I'm jumping around my document. I'm pretty sure we mentioned in there as well. Assessment methods / tools, right? In the learning program above. So if I'm those 3 30-minute sessions, what I'm finding is happening to me. I don't know if it's happened to anyone else, but I've gone and done my learning program. So I'm doing everything in order.
Yep.
And then when I'm getting down to my session plan, I'm thinking, what are you thinking? And I'm finding that I've got either other tools or other assessment methods I should be using. So my question is, does my assessment methods in my learning plan also need to match my session plan, and therefore I make those adjustments I don't know if that makes sense.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of feel like it's evolved, but the closer I get to the end, I feel like I've got to go back to the start.
Yeah. So if you're doing, if you are conducting some form of assessment, whether it's formative or summative,
Most of them
formative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, if it's a formative assessment, what sort is it going to be? Is it just observing or?
Some of them I've got direct observation, and then
Direct
I've got
observation,
verbal questions and answers. Some of them are written questions and answers that I've got in there.
Just activity handout are you doing or something like that?
Yeah, there are, and there's some, as far as tasks, as the delivery methods and activities, those tasks, I've got things like role plays and group discussions and brainstorming sessions.
So in regards to your resources then, if you're doing a role play, would you have role play script or would you give an overview of what kind of information is going to be shared in that role play?
Hang on a second. Sorry, Jo. Can you just, okay. So in my session plan, my delivery method and activity for, say, one of my sessions is I'm going to do, we've got PowerPoint presentation, handouts, role play. And then the assessment method, it's a combination of, because we're with the role plays, there's going to be before and after photographs to show evidence that they were performed a role play.
Yep.
Direct observation, so like a checklist.
Yep.
To make sure that we're meeting criteria.
Following. Yep.
Yeah. And then I've got a formative assessment where I'll give out like a written, just something short, like maybe some quick questions and answers, and to make sure the knowledge is there as well as the practical.
Yep.
But I identified more of that in my session. I don't know if I'm making sense. Basically, I've just got to make sure whatever I put in my learning plan for assessment methods, it's got to reflect that in the session plan. Like both have got
That's correct.
Relate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
No problem there.
You've hit the mark, Amanda.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you might find that, Amanda, right? That when you are flushing it out in your session plan, that you're like, oh, hang on, I probably need to go back and add that into the learning program. And that's okay. Like just go back and make that, if it's just around assessment, it's not too much, right? And just note that in that session in your learning program.
Yeah. Okay.
So it aligns,
Yeah. All right. Perfect. By the way, I found the Learner Forum really helpful for this cluster because there was a couple of examples that you could download. So I just wanted to say thanks.
Yeah.
Forum is great. Good to know. I've not gone on the Learner Forum and I need to look at some examples. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Am I able to give everyone a little hint and tip, wink, wink, that helped me?
Just me, Amanda.
Just you, Gemma? I thought about you.
I'm over
that's
here.
That's why I was asking permission if I could give the tip, and I think it's in the Learner Forum too. But in the learning program where the delivery methods and activities are, actually put like what performance criteria number relates to that session, so that it helps when you're mapping.
Yeah.
Like I found that really helpful. I don't think if I didn't do that, I would have struggled with mapping.
So say that again. When you're doing the learning program, when you're doing the
expert trainers step in anytime. So I'll give you an example. I'll put it in the chat. And I'll shut up after this, I promise.
Okay, all good.
Does everyone have the week session like we had, Jo?
Not everyone is doing that. Some people are just doing the self-paced, like there's no 5 days.
I did the whole cluster one in that.
Kate, I kind of pushed a lot in that 1 week. Huh? We got through so much content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't send anything because I'm not a member of the chat for some reason, but that's all right.
All righty. Are you ready? So we'll go through our resources. So we have cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, knowledge questions, print versions, reading, and RTO policies procedures. We have that README document, and Vladimir, I'm going to be sending another one out to you. Dean, can I put that on your list?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Dean will send it to you.
I'll do that, Vladimir. I'll send that README first out to you.
Okay. The next thing is the learner handbook, which I strongly suggest you read through this learner handbook. It's really handy. And we have this TAE assessment task checklist, which I'm going to explain to you in more detail. And we have the learner guide, right? So we have in the cluster 1 resources, we have cluster 1 folder. You'll find a learner foundation skills profile folder. Again, some people do refer to this learner foundation skills profile if they're not familiar with going through understanding how to identify core skills or employability skills. You can read through the different profiles. There are 4 profiles. One is called Derek, one is called May, one is called Tyra, and one is called Vanessa. And you'll see in these learner profiles some some ACSF assessment tools that they have completed, so you can go through and understand at what level they would be at if you have not had much experience identifying core skill levels. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And these are yes.
So so the learner profile, like Derek, Mary, Tyra, and Vanessa, are they the students?
You can refer to these students, but you don't have to.
Right. So when we write our stuff, we're not writing for their profiles, or we are when we develop our learning training guides and everything.
If you are not familiar with how to identify core skills and things like that of some learners that you may be referring to, your 4 learners, you can refer to these 4 profiles. Absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Again, I'm just going to give you the hint that these 4 profiles are low literacy level learners. Yep. Okay. You also have
Sorry,
these.
quick question.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't find those foundation skills profiles in all the documentation that I was sent.
Okay. So
does that come in the package or?
Yeah, if you click in your cluster 1 folder. Paul, are you doing the full qualification? You're not doing a gap?
No, that's a self-paced.
Yeah, but you're doing the full qualification?
Yes.
Yeah, you should have access to it. If you click on the cluster 1 folder.
I only have files. I have one big folder, and then
it sounds like you might be clicking on
content.
the video.
No, that's I got a folder called videos.
Oh, okay, but this one has a cluster 1 assessment tasks document in there.
It has I had a one folder called content, and it has all the cluster assessment tasks, the learner handbook, the README first document.
Yeah.
But there's no folder called Learner Foundation.
It should be just in your cluster 1 folder. No.
No, I don't have a cluster 1 folder. I got all the cluster assessments in one folder. Cluster 1 assessment, cluster 2 assessment. They're all in one folder.
Okay, so Paul, what I'm going to do, I'll have someone check what resources you have been sent and resend it if it's not the
Joe, could you do that
Thank
the
you.
same for me? I've been looking through. I can't find this stuff either.
Gary, is it?
Yeah.
What might be better, Joe, is if you could send an email to compliance at
That's a good idea.
hba.edu.au, and I'll respond to those emails coming through. So I'll have a bit of a check, Paul, on what your course resources are.
And also Gary, please, Dean.
And Gary. So Gary and Paul, just send an email just so that I've got reference to it, and then I'll be able to respond to you.
So what is it? Compliance?
Yeah, it's in the chat, but it's
in the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the chat. It's compliance@hba.edu.au.
No worries.
Cheers.
Not a
Thanks, Steve.
problem. Not a problem.
All right. So I'm just going to race through this very quickly. So we have cluster 1, which has a folder, and you'll have the learner foundation skill sets. You'll have TAS. This is what I was explaining to you before, training and assessment strategies. This one is for a Cert 1. If anyone's familiar with reading code, we can be code breakers, right? BSB is the business service training package. 1 is the AQF level, Cert 1. The O1 is the sequence it falls within, and so it's the first qualification at level 1 within the business service training package. And the 2.0 is the year it's endorsed. Magic, code breaking, magical, right? Mind blowing. It's amazing. So that's Cert 1. And so what qualification level is this one then? It's a TAS for Cert 3, right? Everyone's answering too quickly. So BSB 30120.
Yeah.
So again, this is a Cert 3, AQF level 3, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you have the magical cluster 1 assessment task booklet. That's where it's going to ask you to develop those 2 learning programs and develop 3 sessions from each learning program, okay? Magic. And then you have the magical everlasting knowledge question workbook, right, Lauren? This is what is the exciting stuff of the whole Cert 4 TAE. So we have not given you unit by unit questions, otherwise you would have thousands of questions, okay? What we have done in HBA, we have assessed holistically. So all of the questions in there are covering more than just one unit of competency. So we don't have to replicate our question after question after question. It may feel like that when you're filling them out, and I certainly did feel that when I was filling it out when I had to do my gap training, but it is something that is assessed holistically, okay? So we're doing the right thing for you. In regards to the knowledge workbook question, what you're going to be referring to is the learner guide, the reading folder, and your own research. As this is a Cert 4, we're not required to give you all the answers in the learner guide. Otherwise, that learner guide would look like a massive thick book, okay? We don't want to go that far. So it's something called research that you'll have to do. So far, so good? Yeah.
With the knowledge questions,
Yeah.
Can that be sent before the clusters?
Absolutely.
And do the clusters have to be sent in order?
No. Just complete your cluster, send it in.
Thank you.
How's your clusters going anyway, Kate? All good?
Yeah, cluster 1. Me and Loz are going really well. Like I completed my cluster 1 in that week.
Good work.
So because I can't remember any of it now. and cluster 3, majority of it. But I need to go back over the Excel sheet because mine and Loz's mysteriously disappeared with what we've completed.
Okay.
From that
I'm going
week.
to cover. Yeah. Magic will happen. I'll send you another one if you need it.
Thank you so much.
All good. All right. So knowledge questions, we're going to refer to your learner guide, the reading folder, and your own personal research. The folder called print versions. Sorry.
That's okay. That's where I am.
Yep. Okay. The print versions, these documents here are just documents that you would be using when you're completing the interaction with another person. So 2.1 is from cluster 2. Yeah. So you don't need to worry about it for a while yet. Yeah. So cluster 2 is your review audience feedback. So as you can see, it's all feedback stuff, right? So if you are doing this in the classroom, then all of these things will be done, soft copy. You won't need to print them. If you are doing them at home and you need to print it, go right ahead and you can print it. Does that make it easier to understand what these print versions are all about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are attendance sheets and their feedback forms. See? Magical stuff. All right. This reading folder. When I looked at this, because I wanted the icon so I can see what sort of information is in this reading folder, look at that. You've got everything at your fingertips. So if you like to do some research, go right ahead, because you'll see a lot of this information when you do your research, these documents. You agree? For those that did your knowledge questions, a lot of these documents is what you actually researched, right? So again, looking at all these documents is overwhelming. Don't look at it then, okay? You need to do research. But if you like looking at all of these documents, yeah, enjoy. Bedtime stories are available. All good? Any questions? So far, so good? Okay, so Kerry, you didn't print everything out, did you?
I'm a bit of a paper person. I have printed out a fair bit, but not everything.
Good.
Just want to know with this spreadsheet, because I was thinking I need.
Yeah,
I'm
getting that in just a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
That's all right. All good. All good. Okay. So in the reading folder, there's a lot of documents here, right? Plenty of documents. And then we have this RTO policies and procedures. And again, it's the TAS documents that we've already seen before in our cluster 1 folder. That's what's in there. Okay. Any questions? So far, so good. Yeah. In the learner handbook, all of this information is a great introduction to RTO world. Yeah. So a lot of people go, oh, learner handbook, we don't need to worry about it, but it's really interesting. If you are new to the vet sector, this learner handbook is the magic. Yeah. All good? Learner handbook, it tells you a lot of information that will be handy for your knowledge questions as well. This is the awesome checklist. Wow, hey? There's a lot of information on this spreadsheet. So this magical spreadsheet, if you use it using your digital literacy techniques and skills, it will be awesome. Okay. So what this assessment task checklist has is cluster 1. Everything within cluster 1 is listed here. So as you are progressing through, if you click on the status where it says in progress, when you click on the status, you can click on completed and the whole row changes color. Magic, right? This is a magical sheet. Yeah. But if you're using paper, Kerry, feel free to get your coloring in out and color it through, because color makes us happy, right? So magical spreadsheet here. Okay. So as you go through, and when you are going through this and you're having a few questions to ask, feel free to note it in the notes. And so you don't need to be stuck on that in that world. You can continue through and go through to another part. Yeah? Peter, are you looking at your spreadsheet at the moment, or Paul, sorry? Your face was happier just then when you looked at the screen. I thought, oh, this is good.
Sorry, I've got that one, but I don't have the README folder as well. So
oh,
I only have one big folder.
Document. Yeah, just
no,
right
the
to
README first I
complain.
do have. Yeah,
you do have it.
Just yeah, but the other one that you had, the reading folder with all those
things,
beauty, all the bedtime stories. I don't have that one either.
You don't have the bedtime story. Dean, he cannot go to sleep yet. Okay.
Exactly.
Just write to compliance, ask them for a bedtime story. I'm hoping
yes.
Dean will remember it means the reading folder. I'm sorry. Okay. We also have this magical book called the Learner Guide, right? Has anyone completed online learning before? Control F is going to be your magical friend, right? Control F, type in the keywords and bam, it lights up everywhere, right? And that's where you can find information quickly. No, doesn't work, Amanda. Oh dear.
No, not always, but that's when you need to do independent research, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you find it that way. Use your digital literacy skills, right? They're going to grow tremendously doing this course. Okay, so we have this thing called learner guide. So there's a lot of sections within this learner guide. Any questions so far? We've just reached 8:31. Look at that. I've been talking too long. I do apologize. So quick recap about our support channels that we have here at HBA. We have learner support. If you can contact that number between those hours. Email assess@HBA. Learner forums. Has anyone seen the learner forums before, actually?
Yep, I'm on there a lot, and they're very, very useful.
All right, learner forums, let me tell you, are on our HBA website, and you click on the support center up the top there. Has anyone seen this before? Yep, so you go into HBA Learning Centers, and you click on the support center. When you click on that support center, this screen will come up, HBA discussion forums. Is it mind-blowing looking at this? It's pretty exciting, right? You click on training and assessment forum, and then it will ask you for your username, your password, and then log in. All good? It's not scary. It's all right, yeah? Okay. Are there any questions?
Yes, I just got one question. Is everybody on this webinar tonight doing just the gap course, or are they doing the whole course?
The whole course.
Whole course.
Okay. So am I the only one doing the gap course?
I'm doing the gap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's, I was just listening, and a lot of people seem to have already been doing it, and I'm not actually starting my course until September. So yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
Can I please share my screen? Oh, no,
yeah.
I can't. I'm
Okay.
locked out.
Kate, send me a Teams meeting after this, because we're just about to sign out, and I'll have a quick chat with you. How about that?
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Can you send me a chat, email-y thing?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Are there any other questions at all?
Yeah. Hi, Joe. This is Greg.
Greg?
I was with you at Nunda in February, I think.
Oh, goodness. Greg, great to see you.
Yeah, sorry, my camera's playing up. But yeah, I had a couple of thoughts and questions that I kind of had that maybe isn't worth these guys getting sort of tangled up into it, because it's more cluster 3 kind of stuff.
Okay.
Is it possible?
Yep, just hang on here, and I'll be with you. Is that okay? I'll just say bye to these people. Do not go anywhere, Greg.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions at all?
Can I just have a quick question? It's Kerry again. So I'm doing like blended face-to-face kind of thing, the whole 3 weeks. If I do all that cluster 1 work prior to actually going to that course, I'm better off just hanging on to it and going through it all again to make sure I've got it right, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's my plan.
That's a good plan. I like it.
I have many plans.
I have many dreams too. Any other questions at all?
I just wanted to say thanks, Joe. The webinars are always really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.